We have yummy ghost tricks for you today. We have more of the Egyptian gods special. And is that Orsartic with Mitsurugi? Make sure you guys smash some crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more content. When I saw Dark Magical Curtain was being used with the Witch of the Black Forest, kind of expected players to start experimenting around. I never thought in like 100 years I would see a ghost trick pile coming out and actually using this in a multitude of different ways to actually make this a viable strategy. But somehow it has actually happened. This is the fruits of labor. Obviously the Karibos are going to be able to put extra level 1s on the field. You are going to be able to generate some sort of yummy board, but also I do like the ghost trick stuff in here with a little bit of a payoff. I just wish that there was, the Utopic Future Draco or something like that in here. I feel like there's more that you're trying to do with this. This looks like an interesting concept for sure. I just think it can be modified just a smidge a little bit better to make some better results here. Next up, we have, wow, talk about, this is truly like the modern Yugi special here. You have all of the Egyptian god forms in here to use. You have all the Dark Magician girls, the servants of Dark Magician doing the thing. We've got two faithful Karibos in here being a little extra things. We have these special attacks of the Egyptian gods. We have Gaze of Timaeus to bridge into the Red Ice Arc Dragoon. This is basically has been our payoff at this point. As they've added in more to the Yugi strategy, it truly does feel like at this stage that we have what I would consider would be a decent Yugi anime deck that you could actually have. Now, time is going to tell if this is going to end up continuing to be, a good concept. You've also got True Name in here with the Dark Magical Circles to be able to work with, which is kind of cool. I've always loved True Name as a card. It's able to do some incredibly broken things, but definitely a very, very fun anime deck. Next up is Orsartic Mitsurugi. Now, we've seen this concept pop up in the TCG. These Orsartic cards are able to fulfill the ritual cost of the big Mitsurugi monsters as you're kind of rotating through the doors here, wanting to put monsters on the field, but also there is some hilarious interactions with being able to actually make the Ursarctic monsters themselves. Initially when you look at the Ursarctic stuff, you might not think that they are incredibly powerful cards, but in combination with the revolving door of Mitsurugi monsters, and you're able to put pressure on your opponent through how broken that those cards are. It's whatever combination of extra support that you're able to build on top of that I think really puts this into perspective for me on a decently cool board that you can generate. So definitely an idea that I would love to see explored just a little bit more. Next up, we have Mech Knights. Now, I love Mech Knights. I think this deck is really, really cool. It's just, it feels like we've become very power crept along the line for this. Like, you're not necessarily able to do the cool things that you want to do with this deck anymore. The TCG versions were basically the rip everything away from your opponent piles. And while those lists they were good on paper, it's just, I don't think that's massively viable anymore in the current era. You do see, however, though, that this list is actually playing kaiju, so you're going to rely on actually tributing over the opponent's boss monsters to help you out. But I also see that we're using double Change of Heart. Don't underestimate using Change of Heart to be able to get monsters over to your side of the field so you can, like, make Lib or to make, the other powerhouse monsters that you need. And also, it kind of does help awkwardly enough with some column placements to actually help you out. So I do kind of appreciate that. Next up here we have, this is a hero strategy that looks to be a little bit more in line with, like, we have Yubel stuff in here. We have the Rainbow Dark Dragon in here. But I think the thing I like most about this list is you have triple Neos Fusion in here, which means you're going to be looking for that payoff to make that big Neos monster as kind of your end board piece. Now, obviously, the Neos Lord is probably one of the best monsters that you can make. We're not going to deny that. Are we not we're playing the Rainbow Dark Dragon. There's the Rainbow Neos. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Also, the Yubel monsters in this deck is actually kind of hilarious. You have the payoff of actually making the Neos Wiseman, which I would honestly hope to eventually see Neos Wiseman getting a retrain at some point in the game, because I feel like he's the weird bridge that actually needs a new form. Next up here. Oh, man. You know, we all saw the Tenpai with Gimmick Puppets side deck transition that you were able to do that was pretty gimmicky, honestly. I appreciated the fact that existed, but, you know, let's slim down the Tenpai package. Let's put in a full Mitsurugi expansion DLC into this deck. So you can actually make this deck into more of a monster, and that's basically what you're dealing with here. The Mitsurugi stuff is going to up the consistency of this deck a lot. Now, obviously, you do have Harmonium in here as a piece of the pie to actually use as an interruption, but you're basically foregoing things like Dominuses and some of the other cards that the regular Tenpai strategy would actually be wanting to consider. But, God, looking at this pile is just horrifying, knowing that, you know, this is the board that you can actually generate and you can actually do some really, really scary things with. Next up, we have Chainburn, and I thought that this is one of the cooler decks that we've seen out of the week, actually sporting off the new Gaga Girl and the Karibo to basically be able to pair up with each other and basically do some funny Exceed interactions against the opponent. I had not actually considered this idea of using the Gaga Girl in a deck like Chainburn, whose objective is to slowly play the game. You know, your job is to quickly strike them down, but if you're able to put up something defensively with this deck, there's an argument to be made with that. So obviously OCG has triples Chain Strike. God, I wish we could have access to triple Chain Strike. If we had triple Chain Strike, there'd be so many more people trying to innovate this deck, and you'd be seeing, you know, I just got sacked by Chainburn videos and people wanting to quit over just how bad that this deck is in the competitive side of things. But it is a actual decent strategy. Next up is Yummy and Dark Magician. Yet again, we get to see the confines of the Dark Magical Curtain doing what it does best by turning the Witch of the Black Forest into full streamlined combo wombo, which once again, Witch of the Black Forest turns into Artemis. You trigger the Witch of the Black Forest. Curtain no longer knows that it was a special summon monster, so you're able to go bridge into a Yummy monster. Congratulations, special summon the Yummy monster, because it's not an effect that activates. You can't apply whatever special summon effect you had at the time, but that doesn't matter. Alright, you've now got full Yummy combo, so you're able to go down and do whatever combo lines that you initially want to do with this deck. Deck feels very, very, very strong. I am a little bit, like, intrigued if, you know, the Yummy is going to actually get to see the Dark Magical Curtain on our side of the game, but truly, the curtain interactions have just been some of the greatest that you can interact with within this game. And I got to give it to Konami. They definitely did very, very nicely with this. Next up is Red Dragon Archine. Oh, this has been a little while. I know this deck kind of fell off, which is really sad because, you know, when obviously your boss monster has one of the highest dedications of like modern era boss monsters. Having to smash 5 monsters into a really, really strong monster, yeah, it's a little bit costly, but, you know, there was a decent payoff with it. Also going with 2 Dominus, 2 Imperms is okay. You are doing Harmonium in here. I don't think you get much of a choice. I think you actually have to play Harmonium. Harmonium, you have extra deck cards that you can sacrifice if you need to trigger the absolute payoff on the Harmonium. But just looking at the way that this deck is, this is just modern good stuff. And especially for those of you that do enjoy the Jack Atlas piles, I think this will be a build that will probably catch a lot of attention and actually give players something kind of fun to play around with. And our last list here is going to be Radiant Typhoon with the Pendulum Monster to lock your opponent out of playing the game. But also, I see we have the Chimera Fusion in here. Talk about needing a Beast or a Fiend monster to capitalize on things. This gives you access to fusing with the beast that you do have in here, which is going to open up some funny little interactions, I do suppose. Also, still having Triple Featherstorm feels very, very, very broken, but, you know, it does exactly what it needs to do. So what do you guys think about these interesting decks? Please Leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. You guys stay safe out there, right? Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.